Parts of the Southeast ravaged by deadly tornadoes this weekend. At least 10 confirmed tornadoes hit Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee. The violent weather killing at least 22 people, including a one-year-old baby. The city of Rolling Fork, Mississippi, one of the hardest hit, with a violent tornado obliterating houses, businesses, and city blocks. You can see the aftermath on your screen. Meteorologists warn more dangerous weather could be on the way. So joining me right now, we have CNN Chief Climate Correspondent Bill Weir, and my panel is back as well. So, Bill, there have been 296 tornado reports this year alone. That's the highest in 6 years. I think we have some satellite imagery of before in Rolling Fork, Mississippi, and after in Rolling Fork. And so, can we say conclusively this is climate change?
No, you can't. When it comes to science, the confidence of scientists who study this stuff, tornadoes are way down on the confidence list because you can watch a hurricane for a couple of weeks. A tornado touches down for 30 seconds or a few minutes. The historical record is really sketchy, but a tornado loves warm, moist air. We got a lot more of that these days. It likes unpredictable shifting winds. We got a lot more of that happening. And so, yeah, the numbers are going up. And also, it's all about sort of like what they say about real estate. It's location, location, location. You can have a lot of tornadoes in an unpopulated area, and the numbers don't look that bad, but they seem to be, over time, the tornado belt that I grew up in, I went to high school in Oklahoma and Texas for a bit, is shifting east. It's moving across the Mississippi River. So you're seeing a lot more in the southeast. That's strange. But yeah, I mean, we just live on a much more unpredictable planet these days.
Scott, I'm guessing you have some tornado experience?
Oh, well, I'm from Dawson Springs, Kentucky, where the tornadoes hit. Not this past December, but the one before last. You know, every home that a Jennings ever lived in was destroyed by a tornado there.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah, my dad's house was destroyed, and the house he grew up in, his parents' house was destroyed, and his entire street virtually. Now they're rebuilding and coming back, but it was the first time anyone there could remember a tornado. There was like always warnings and watches, but like in terms of actual destruction. And I think it took out like 3/4 of the houses, and it sort of cut a swath from, you know, far western Kentucky all the way through up heading east into central
And so
Kentucky.
you rebuild after that. You don't think about leaving.
My dad left, actually. He decided not to rebuild. Now, his neighbor, who he sold his lot to, they did rebuild. And a lot of people are rebuilding, and they're trying to come back. But some people didn't make that choice. You know, my dad's on up there, and he's semi-retired, so he had that. But, you know, some people have young families, and that's their home, and they want to raise their kids there. So when I saw the pictures from Mississippi, it reminded me an awful lot of what I saw on the ground in Dawson Springs.
I'm curious if it informed the way he rebuilt, stronger, more resilient. Can you afford that sort of thing?
Well, just financially, truthfully, what he ended up getting out of it was not near enough to rebuild the house that he owned.
Sure.
And I don't know everybody's individual financial positions, but he just decided that he was going to do something else for a while and try something out at the later stages of his life. But, you know, a lot of people don't have that luxury.
Exactly.
And they're stuck where they are.
Exactly.
And so when something like this happens, it's not an instant rebuild either. If you go to these places that are destroyed, like in western Kentucky, I mean, you can definitely tell they're still working on it.
Well, it's poor communities that have suffered the worst of climate change. I mean, you look at what happened in Texas in terms of like the massive power outages and droughts in communities and fires in California. You know, all across the world, what you see is that it is often folks who really can't afford the worst of the impacts of extreme weather events who are most harmed by it and most displaced by it.
Right. Yeah, and different from folks on the coast, the Outer Banks, you can see a beach house going, maybe you don't rebuild there. You don't make that calculation if you're living in Kentucky or Mississippi.
Is it going to keep moving?
Yeah.
Is the tornado alley going to keep going to the east and the southeast? Or should people in Atlanta be like, oh?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? I mean, they're figuring all of this out.
But the tornado season is getting longer.
It seems to be we're getting a little bit of that, but also more intense events clustered together on the same day. So more bad days is a good way to think about it.
Thank you for all of that. For more information on how you can help the victims of the deadly tornado and the severe storms that swept through Mississippi, you can go to cnn.com/impact. All right, so just ahead, of course, you've heard about the reparations debate in San Francisco. Well, one city has already passed a reparations program. That's Evanston, Illinois. Not everybody is happy about it. We'll explain what's happening there next.